Welcome back, Teachers on Fire, to another edition of the Roundtable, conversations meant to warm your heart, spark your thinking, and ignite your professional practice. My name is Tim Cavey. I'm the host of the Teachers on Fire podcast, an 8th grade teacher and rookie assistant principal this year. Picked a great year to try that new role. I'm welcoming with me this morning 8 fantastic guests, hopefully 9. We'll see if that becomes 9 here in a minute or so. But our topic today is one word 2021. Very, very exciting. So we're going to get into some questions around that momentarily. But first of all, I'm going to ask each guest to introduce themselves, tell us about your current context in education, and we will take it from there. So starting with you, Stephanie.
Hi, I am Stephanie Roth. I'm so excited to be here. I'm coming to you from Northern California. So it's bright and early here, 8 a.m. here for me. And I am an EdTech TOSA, a teacher on special assignment at in my district. And I also chair a design-based thinking pathway that's there and teach the English class at the high school.
Thanks, Stephanie. Natalie.
Hi, I am Natalie Conway. I currently have a few jobs in education. The first one is that I am a special education teacher for an online charter here in Oregon, where I live. So I am an online teacher by choice, and I have been doing that for a few years now. I'm originally from Massachusetts. That's where I started out my career in teaching brick and mortar. So I've done both. And I also work for SYS Education, and we're a consulting company helping online schools do a great job at being online schools. And so through that, I also host a podcast called SYS Presents Adventures in Online Education. And that's new to me this year, and I'm super excited about doing that.
Well, Adventures in Online Education seems pretty timely. So welcome, Natalie. Livia, at long last, we connect in real time. My neighbor sort of down the road, not quite, but welcome here.
Relatively speaking, we are down the road. Thanks for inviting me. Hi, everyone. My name is Livia Chen. I am, like you, a new assistant principal this year. I also teach grade 5 in the Greater Vancouver area in BC, Canada. I am also an ambassador for the Teach Better team and the digital content editor.
Thanks, Livia. And over to one of the biggest boosters of the Teachers on Fire podcast, Brian Carpenter. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Brian Carpenter, and thanks, Tim, for having me on your roundtable this morning. Been a big fan of Teachers on Fire for a really long time, so it's a great place to learn and connect with people. I've connected with so many educators. My current context, I'm a secondary and middle school teacher here in the Abbotsford School District, which is actually just down the road from Livia and Tim, up the Fraser Valley in British Columbia. And I teach in an online manner, chemistry 11 and 12, math 10 and 11, as well as face-to-face digital learning and digital technologies. So that's where I'm at right now.
Thank you, Brian. Debbie.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. I'm Debbie Tannenbaum. Our name is a school-based technology specialist, but essentially a tech coach in an elementary school in Northern Virginia. And I'm also a Teach Better ambassador along with Livia, and I'm really excited to be here today. Yay, Teach Better.
Welcome, Debbie. And Debbie and my next guest here, Tammy Brightweiser, both, I'm blessed to work with both of them on the Teachers on Fire magazine as writers. Tammy, welcome.
Hello, I'm Tammy Brightweiser, and I am currently in Wisconsin. I've done a lot of different jobs over the course of my education career, but currently I am a kindergarten teacher, and we are still doing virtual learning. The plan is to go back in person on February 1st, so we will see how that works. But I'm excited to be here today.
And Santiago.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Santiago Mesa. I am in my 3rd year as an elementary principal. I did 4 years as an AP, and then my first job that I started with was a special education teacher, and I did that for 6 years. Just grateful to be here, part of the Education Never Dies crew, Fit Leaders and Zero Apology Zone. And just moving forward, grateful to be here with all you guys.
Well, I'm so glad to have each of you. And Santiago, you're another one of these tremendous supporters and engagers in my PLN that finally I get a chance to connect with in real time. So this is a special treat from me. Well, as we say goodbye to 2020, what's one thing you are taking with you? I want to share some lessons, some growth moments, or unexpected highlights. At the end of 2020, it was kind of funny. I was staycationing it with my family at a hotel, and it was funny to hear all of the people in downtown Vancouver that I could hear at least shouting, goodbye 2020. I was one of them. It's easy to dump on 2020, but there were some good things. There were some silver linings, and we want to be grateful for those highlights. So as we go out on the year, what are a few things, maybe one thing that jumps out to you in terms of a highlight from 2020? Let's go back to Santiago.
I think the highlight for me for 2020 was getting back to the roots of things. Her relationships are really the foundation of everything and anything you're going to do in life. And even though we had this pandemic and things were hard, we really found relationships, not just at school and our communities with our kids, colleagues, but most of all our families and the core foundations that really, spring us forward in what we need to do. So for me, the highlights were just those relationships, being intentional in every aspect of your life and moving forward. So for me, that was 2020 was that foundation.
All right, fantastic. Well said. And Tammy.
So one of the biggest things is one of the phrases that I live by is that the world happens for you, not to you, which is a Tony Robbins quote. But I think that 2020 really embodied that. I learned pretty quickly anyway, but when you're in the situation where you have to pivot like every couple of days, you learn really quickly how to do things differently and try to do them well. I have to say, though, that 2020, because of the way that it worked out, I actually accomplished more in 2020 than I did in the past several years. So I don't know if it was the focus or, but I agree with Santiago. Relationships really were key, and really honing down to those people who were really important to you and who were really on your side. So that's what I will take into 2021.
Debbie.
With 2020, it was my year of challenge. That was my word from last year. And I really tried to challenge myself to take new risks. I started presenting at conferences. I started working on a book. I really just pushed myself to do things that I previously wouldn't have tried. And I accomplished quite a bit of those professionally. It was also just a hard year dealing with distance learning and then coming back. And right now we're in the midst of looking at hybrid learning. So challenge was a very appropriate word. And I believe I presented at 10 conferences, and I am in the process of looking at some publishers with my book. And that's all due to you last week.
Thank you so much. Well, yes, last week we had a fantastic conversation with 3 recent authors, and if you're interested, I am one of those people interested in trying to write a book this year. So Debbie, you inspire me. I can't believe you presented at 10 conferences, and I probably read that somewhere and forgot, but that's phenomenal. So congratulations on that. Brian, over to you. What are you taking away from 2020?
2020 reminded me to keep an eye, like, others have said, on relationships and how important those relationships are. We you don't realize how important these things are until they're stressed, right? And, that's what 2020 did for us, was stress our systems to see what is important. And relationships are one of those things. Another thing that I'm taking away is that, the ed tech digital literacy level for many has gone up so much, we were forced into this space that, if you told me a year ago that we would be doing this on a regular basis, I would have laughed. I'm an online teacher, and I don't video conference with my students because I'm I don't want to see into their home, because you never know what you're going to see. But now it's just the switch is flipped. You walk in, and that's the way you do it now, right? So relationships and the nudging forward of educational technology.
Livia.
I feel like what everybody said so far is how I feel. So last year, it was a really big growth year for me. I feel like I finally found my voice, and I have a PLN that I absolutely adore. Being connected to the Teach Better team has completely changed my life, and it's been an amazing year in so many ways, growing professionally and personally. So I look at it as a blessed year. It's one of those things that I do anyway. You know, I try to look at everything in a positive way, and I say there's always a silver lining if you're looking for one. Sometimes you just have to look harder. So I'm one of the ones that have been very blessed to be healthy, and my family's been healthy. So that in itself is a successful year.
That's right. We've never been so grateful for our health, right, Livia? Wow, that's a positive outlook to call 2020 a blessed year, but I appreciate that. Natalie, over to you.
You know, a lot of what the rest of you have said, definitely about relationships and especially growth. For me, I did a lot of reading and listening this summer about race and systemic racism. And so a highlight for me is bringing that equity lens to my work with my teacher peers. So just being open and honest, acknowledging that I don't know a lot of things, that I need a mentor myself, even though my role is a mentor teacher in a lot of ways. So I've done a lot of work in the past on pedagogy or behavior and relationship building with my peers, but this year was really different and even more meaningful to me, just deeper in a lot of ways. So changing up the novels we're reading in third grade, for example, and just offering kids not just mirrors of dominant culture, but windows into different culture. That's just been a really great highlight for me, and seeing educators taking the next step to disrupt the status quo in literature and social studies. It's just been a really cool opportunity and necessary opportunity, I think, for growth. So I'm just still learning how to be an ally, learning how to better provide anti-racist curriculum, all of that. But I think if 2020 hadn't been 2020, I might not have been doing that work. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, well said. Stephanie.
Gosh, I love actually getting to be near the end on this one, because it was a highlight actually getting to hear everyone's. And I just felt like the whole time I just wanted to go ditto, 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 ditto. So thank you all for sharing. And it was just a privilege to hear all of those. I would say for me, it is similar. The 2020 has been a huge year of growth. I never did the one word challenge last year, but without realizing it, my word became leap for 2020. And I was pretty proud. I gave a TEDx talk that then went on to TED. So that was something that was a giant leap for me. I had traveled to Singapore back in 2019. I met a huge group that became a PLN, started a group to support teachers called Global GEG. There's just been a lot that's happened, I would say, for me. But in the classroom, some of the things that we're all virtual. And I have just realized how resilient my students are. And I'm part-time with teachers and with students, and I would say my teachers are as well. But to see how much my students are taking on, and this year I would say more than last year, like they know that they're here virtually, and to see how much they're pushing and how much they're pushing for those relationships that you all have been talking about, and creating spaces for themselves and each other. And I would say I'm someone who I try to provide a space and an opportunity for growth always for both staff and students, but to see students kind of take the rein on that and really create spaces for each other, and collaborative opportunities for each other, it has provided me so much more hope moving forward. And I've heard them say in like the last few weeks before we went on break, just saying how even though they've never met in person, that they feel like we really know each other. And to me, that is a huge benefit to know that if we can do that this way, then man, when we're together in person, what will it be like?
Wow. Yes, that is a great vision of a kind of a motivation, right, to collaborate and work together in this environment when we're all isolated but connected digitally in mediums like this one. I want to take a quick moment to say hello to some friends who are joining us live in the comments. We've got people like Claire, Gary Taves is here, Mel, Erica Sandstrom, welcome, Dr. Dan Krynas, Rochelle Dene Poth, Eric Geis, Mark Ryan from Dubai is here, Margaret Murray from Winnipeg, and on it goes. Apologies if I didn't get to everyone, but we're so glad that you're here joining us live. Let us know in the comments what your one word is. We're going to be getting to that here in a couple of moments. Well, I want to say hello to our most recent guest, Marissa Thompson, who I'm so glad you were able to make it, Marissa. So Marissa, I'm going to back up for you. Why don't you tell us about your context in education and jump into that second question as well. What are you taking away from 2020?
Thank you. I'm so sorry. Hi, everybody. I was so excited to meet all of you. I actually was on the Meet link, and then I had tech problems, internet, came upstairs, different internet, the whole thing. So thank you so much for letting me in, Tim, showing up fashionably late. My context in education, I have been a teacher, a high school English teacher for 15 years, and I pitched an idea to the district a couple years ago, and so now I'm half-time with students, half-time supporting teachers, not with anything specific, but their own ideas. So I'm an innovation support coach, like we'll bounce ideas off each other and build together, which is so much fun, if you can imagine that, right? The dream job. I'm a PD instructor for the University of San Diego, and then I blog and I do conferences and things like that. I do coaching as well. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing. As far as for me, the learning and taking with me from 2020, I think I was, of course, ditto with everybody, right? Echoing what everyone's saying. I also was really interested and kind of intrigued by how much teachers could curate everything that they were doing, the vast amount of things that they were doing or having students doing, to the bare essentials and real focus on skills, but also the total awareness of everyone's emotional and mental health. That was a big deal to me. So I loved seeing that. I hope that we continue to do that. And yeah, I didn't have a one word for 2020. But I did a couple years ago, and it just seemed to it was the same word. It was the word try. And I loved watching everybody try so many different things.
Well, that's a great growth mindset word. I like try a lot, and that's sort of, it's related to yet, right? I can't do X yet. So I'm with you on that. Well, we're going to get into like I said, we'll talk about our specific one words for 2021 here in a moment. But first of all, I want to go to question 3. In your mind, what is the power behind the one word practice? And I don't think we need to necessarily go to all of our guests today on this one, but throw your hand up, metaphorically speaking, or go ahead and jump on the mic here if you've got an idea to share. What is the power behind the one-word practice? Let me just say that I was, thinking back to 2018, I was kind of a one-word cynic. I was not on the one-word train for a while, but I sort of watched and listened to all the conversations happening in my PLN, and someone local here named Rose Pillay sort of helped me warm up to this idea as well. And so I've done it the last 2 years. Someone else, talk about what's the power behind this practice for you.
Go. This is my second year doing it, and I just really found that when I tried to do a New Year's resolution, it didn't last. But the one word kind of framed my entire year. And when things got hard, I kept reminding that I needed to continue to challenge myself to do things outside of my comfort zone. And so I just kept pushing, which was really important. And so I just think I went to a word party by Lindsay Titus, another Teach Better ambassador, and she talked about how it's kind of a mantra for the year and it anchors everything else you do during the year. So I think that that's just really important.
I listened to a recent podcast with Lindsay as well. So shout out to Lindsay Titus. You are doing great things as well. I somehow did not get an invite to that Define party, but that's okay. Others. Yeah, Marissa.
I have to say, so yeah, try for me lasted for a couple of years, but in 2018, it changed my life. I used to have ideas, or maybe one day I'll do that, or maybe, we could try that maybe, but I would always come back from it, right? Instead of hitting submit, right? Instead of hitting apply, instead of publish. Oh my gosh, that first time you publish a blog post and you're like, okay, what just happened? Did anybody look at it? But trying things, anytime that I felt myself kind of shrink back, I would go, okay, I'm just going to try. And so many doors opened up, so many didn't. And then I got to reflect on that process as well. Because it had been a long time since I had been denied something that I wanted. I haven't gotten a new job in a long time. I haven't applied to college and been denied. Those kinds of things where it just, I know it sounds impossible, but it changed my life. Absolutely, it did. And I took it with me. I saw someone here said that their word is deliberate, and it goes very much along with my one word. So when we're ready for that, that's coffee. I love that. Yeah, but it did. It changed my life. Just that nice little reminder, and so short. It wasn't a sentence. It wasn't a mantra. It wasn't, it wasn't that I failed at something like a resolution. It's just something to stay right at the forefront of my mind. I absolutely love it.
And I feel the same way. My one word for 2020 was to uplift. And it's one of those things that I feel like I do with every interaction. And I really believe that it's in every interaction we have an opportunity to uplift others through our kindness and our gratitude. And we have that opportunity to help make their day a brighter one. And it's down to the simple things of the way you say hello, to the way you say, how are you? And to really, if somebody says, I'm okay, then to take that opportunity to dive in further and ask, so what would make your okay better? And, it's every time you have an opportunity for your students and all your circles, even going to grocery store, the person that's at the checkout. These are opportunities for you to make somebody's day a little bit brighter. And the mathematical exponential impact that it has, because, by you making that one interaction a positive one, that will lead to them having a more positive attitude or mindset for somebody else. And it just is magnified. So having one word has made such a difference for me.
Well, you're getting a lot of affirmation in the comments, Livia, about your one word uplift. So thank you for everything you do. Santiago, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, just real quick. I think we all have words, or tons of words that we can focus on. And I think the one word, when we pick our one word practice, it's just a chance for us to enhance our foundation. And where, that word, I think, speaks to our heart and soul to really drive the rest of what we're going to do. And that one word connects with everybody else. Then that one word becomes a word for everybody else to really build a web, that foundation that you're going to need moving forward. So.
Thank you so much. Well said. Stephanie?
I love that it becomes a lens through which you can see what is happening throughout the year for you and for others, because just like this last year, when you asked us to look back and look at highlights and positive moments, you can see anything through a wide variety of lenses. And as an English teacher and a former yearbook teacher, I would say that like finding a theme for yourself for the year helps to put things within a context. And for me, without even having one in 2020, it became one. It was a word that became inserted in every talk that I gave. It became my own mantra without realizing that I was doing it. So I think that the practice is one that if focused upon, can become something that is really intentional, purposeful, and can help guide you. But I do think that it finds you whether or not you're doing it. But the ability to actually make it into one word allows us to then focus more deeply on it and really talk about it, connect with other people on it. I love that it isn't a giant paragraph, as some of you were saying. And because it isn't, it allows so many people to see their own understanding of what that word means to them and connect in a different way.
Brian.
All right, Stephanie, I appreciate your words there. That was really good. How you said that, it just came out, right? Of like you living, it just came out. Another thing that's important about the one word is it fits on a Post-it note. Right? You can't rip the whole goal all over the Post-it note and have those places, right? So, it fits on there. You can stick it on your hat, put it in your car, things like that. And it's a way of focusing your attention, which that one word has a whole lot of meaning that, other people might not get, but it's important to you. So that's what I want to say.
Thank you for that, Brian. I love the Post-it notes, graphics there. That's some ageless technology for all of us. I like the comment here from Eric Geis. Thank you, Eric, for that, who says, refocus is my one word. I realize that I spent a lot of time doing things that take away time from my family and passions. So, Eric, that's a conversation I look forward to continuing with you on Voxer, if possible. Going on to the big one. And again, thank you all for coming today and bringing your one word. I'm so excited to hear about it. This is why we all gathered today. So tell us about what is your one word 2021 and why. And I'm going to start with Marissa, who we've had a few technical glitches. So I want to catch Marissa before she drops out again. Go ahead, Marissa. All right, I'm trying to unmute you, Marissa, but I think you have to do that on your end. Can you no? All right, we'll come back to Marissa. Santiago, why don't you share with us about your one word?
All right, so my one word is 2 letters, go. And the reason I chose go is it was on my heart. I think this year I really struggled. I was reluctant to do things sometimes just because I was uncomfortable and unsure of things, and that kept me from a lot of opportunities to really support people and do well, not just my family, but community and stuff. And so that work kept coming up, listening to music. I listen to music all the time. And so a song by The Crank came up, Send Me. And one of the choruses, Send Me, I'll Go. And that's the way I want to serve. Is I want to go help people, I want to support people, I want to serve people through my faith, hope, and love, and really make an impact. And my go can be applied to anything. Go be who you need to be, and help where you need to help. And that's my one word is I go.
All right, I love that reference. Here am I, send me, right? Santiago, kind of availability to just go wherever you're needed to go. Marissa figured out her microphone issues, so we're going to go back there. Marissa, tell us about your one word.
This has been going on since March, so tell me about it. I was choosing between 2. I was choosing between alive and intention, and I settled on intention. I had a rough, like a lot of people, a rough 2020 professionally and personally. Professionally, we took a virtual school from about 80 students to about 1,000 students. And I was part of the team of 3 that led that. Obviously, a lot of people helped, but it was all encompassing and all time consuming. And at the same time, personally, my family has lost 4 people since August, not COVID related, but it just happened that way, about 1 a month since August. So right when school was starting and we're trying to, start the school, we're also trying to navigate a lot. And so there was this kind of reckoning of, look, I'm working 16-hour days. I'm not doing anything fun. I'm not spending time with my family. I'm not I'm definitely not happy. I'm very much going through the emotions and the emotions, I guess, now that that slipped out. But I think there is a time to put your head down and just work and to hammer through things. But I don't want my life to be that way for an amount of time, you know, finishing something in the weekend or something like that. Sure. But I don't want my everyday to be that way. So I've settled on intention, and like Santiago's word, it can be for so many things. It can be for my mental health. It can be for nutrition. It can be for my work. It could be for my interactions, like Liv said. It can be so many things. But I feel like in order for myself to find real balance, I need to be intentional about what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. So we actually, as a family, we're going to get a map of California and label all these places around as kind of like a California bucket list, since we can't be, you know, too far. So this was our initial draft, right? So we're going to do a bonfire tonight. And it's not a matter of, you know, doing big things. It's just having it at the forefront of your mind and of what's my intention right now. I want to go be with my family, and I want to go do something fun. I'm going to leave everything here. I'm still getting my work done. I'm still going to be that teacher I want to be for my students and for myself, and that supporter of teachers and all those things. But in this moment, what's my intention? That's what I rolled with.
Fantastic and well said. That felt very prepared, Marissa, like a good English teacher. So thank you so much. And could we try something as we continue to make our way around? Could you go in, guests, and edit your name and add or replace your name briefly with your one word as you introduce it? So Marissa and Santiago, I'll ask you to give that a try. You'll find 3 dots there in the top right of your box. Okay, so on we go. We've got go and we've got intention. Tammy, over to you.
All right. So it's interesting to me to hear everybody say that this is a new practice for them. I've been doing this for, when I was thinking, like 15 to 20 years. I was really lucky to be part of the Indiana Reading Association a really long time ago and was part of the executive committee. And at some of our conferences, we did it. So I've been doing this for a really long time. So it's interesting. I really love how Debbie called it an anchor. I think that is a perfect word for me. Last year, my word was more, which if you follow me on any social media, you'll know that I did a lot more last year. But this year is push. And it's pushing myself out of my comfort zone, pushing myself to do more. I shied away from push at first. It was what, like Santiago said, like the word usually comes to me. It's very intuitive. It comes to my heart, and push kept coming up, but I kept pushing it away. I kept thinking I needed to do nurture because nurture is something I don't do very well. And a friend of mine said, do you want to do nurture, or do you think that's what other people want you to do? And so I eventually went with my heart. And then when I was on a walk, I realized that push is also an acronym. It stands for power, unleash, significance, and hope. So my one word really helps me with decisions too. Like if there's something that I'm wavering on, or should I do this or should I not, coming back to that word as the umbrella to overhang everything really makes a difference to me. You know, I want to take some real massive action this year and change some big things. And so I really need to push myself, and pushing myself to do more of things like this, and pushing my relationships and the people I hang out with and what they're doing and the types of level that is. So yeah, so that's my word.
I love that you've got this acronym going, Tammy. That's like one word next level. So good for you. You've got these sub themes going on. Debbie, tell us about your one word. I've already seen the blog post, but for the rest of the world, go ahead and share what you've got. And I need to unmute you here. Oh, I think you'll need to do that for yourself. This is.
I was adding my word.
There we go.
So my word this year is transformation. The reason I picked it is because last year my word was challenge, and much like what Tammy was just talking about, how she wants to push herself this year, last year I wanted to challenge myself. So a lot of similar things there. And as I watch Tammy and all the writing she does. I wanted to, that was definitely something I wanted to do. COVID kind of messed with it, but I started presenting last year. I started writing. I tried to push myself to try new things. And so now that I've tried a lot of new things, my goal is I want to take the strides I made this year and really use them to transform the things in my life to a new level. I want to take the draft of my book and I want it to get published. I want to take the habits that I started this year, and I want to try to transform myself and be healthier. I want to take all of those things that I did and even more and just take them to the next level. And so for me, transformation really hit the heart of where that was at.
Transformation. Love it. Brian.
All right. So my one word for this year, and I've been on the one word thing this is my third year. First year was soar, but that wasn't a great year because that year it was like flying into a hurricane. You can't soar into a hurricane, you soar with it in the direction that it's going. Last year, my word was relentless, which was about the opposite direction from soar, of flying into that hurricane. And little did I know that 2020 was going to present us with what we were presented with. I did a lot of things and intentional with that word relentless, and coming out of that, and it came to me back in late fall, was the word appreciate. And so I put that in my name there. Appreciate has to do with being aware of the value. Cambridge Dictionary says it this way: to recognize how good someone or something is and to value him, her, or it, and to see the value in the things that are going on around me. It doesn't mean that we are, just looking for the positive all the time. I guess that is looking for the positive all the time, but not ignoring all the negative stuff. That this is a journey, it's a challenge, and we can grow in these things. This year I will focus on appreciate in the following areas: relationship with my wife, children, my friends, and my God. Also to appreciate the work that I do, to see that it has an impact that I have as an educator. One of those ways that I'm going to do that this year is I'm going to start a podcast, Tim, and it's going to be called At Fresh Air at 5. I've got a daily thing that I do. If you follow me on Twitter at all, you'll know I hold my phone up and record a video. And with the prompting of Tim and Chris Nessie, I'm going to take that audio out of that and repurpose it and make it into a weekly summary of my Fresh Air at 5 walks. Also to appreciate the leadership that I've seen in other people in these unprecedented times. I enjoy watching movies and shows like Longmire on Netflix and looking at him as a sheriff and how he leads, looking at all these different ways that people lead and others around me. So yeah, that's where my one word's coming from. And so my word is appreciate.
Appreciate. All right. Thank you, Brian. And Livia, over to you.
I just threw up mine up on my next to my name. So Brian, my one word in the past was gratitude, and what the beauty of having words year after year is that they never leave you. So it's just something that you hold on to near and dear, and then it just grows and you have a new word that builds on the other word. And that's a word that I also love. So appreciate, gratitude, same kind of thing. My word is why. And when I first told my daughter yesterday, she's like, why? Like the question why? I said, no, didn't mean it like that. And I also have an acronym. The W stands for whom will I serve? The H stands for how does my why align with my purpose? And the Y stands for yearn for better. So I'll start with whom will I serve. And the reason why I chose this word is because I was playing around with other words, but the other ones seemed to me to just really focus on myself. And I wanted a word where I could have it, where I can apply it to myself, but also to others around me. And the, whom will I serve? One thing that I really learned this year is about taking care of myself. So serving myself first, because if I am healthy mentally, emotionally, physically, then I can better serve those that are in my communities and those around me. And the H in terms of my aligning with my purpose, I recently, because last year was such a year of growth and change, I really want to take stock and think about what is my purpose moving forward now that I feel like I'm a different person. I mean, the same person, but just with different aspirations and things like that. So I want to make sure that everything that I do aligns with my purpose on a daily level, weekly, monthly, and thinking beyond that. And the why for Yearn for Better, I've always, probably for the last 10 years, I have another motto. It's working together to better ourselves, each other, and the world around us. And that sense of betterment is so important to me. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really gravitated towards the Teach Better team, because of their motto as well. Better today than yesterday, better tomorrow than we were today. So I think the whole thought around why and being purposeful and intentional with everything that I do on a daily basis really sat well with me. So I'm really excited about this year moving forward, and just thinking about what is my place in this world, and what's my impact, and how can I use the gifts that I've been blessed with to make a difference in other people's lives.
Thank you, Brian, for typing out Livia's acronym here. Again, it's whom do I serve? How does my why align with my purpose and yearn for better? Beautifully put, Livia. Thank you so much. Natalie.
All right. My one word for this year is vulnerability. I have never had a one word before, so I'm new to it this year. And I've chosen vulnerability for a bunch of reasons, really. But I think sometimes those of us who are in a position of leadership, or who get to mentor or be instructional coaches, that kind of thing, it's hard to acknowledge when you don't know or when you have something more to learn. And so I'm choosing vulnerability as my word because I really value authentic connection, both in my personal life and my professional life. And I don't think you can do that without being vulnerable and without being really who you are, and kind of showing not necessarily all your cards on the table, but, you know, being authentic. And so vulnerability for me is what's going to drive me this year. It's part of what inspires me to continue doing the podcast and meeting new people and putting myself out there, like on this today. And that's a big step of vulnerability for me. I'm a big fan of Brene Brown, and she writes about our aspirational selves and how we actually show up in the world day to day, or instance to instance, and minding that gap that might exist. So vulnerability for me reminds me to keep reaching for that aspirational self, that kind of walk the talk idea. So I think the one word is really deeply aligned with our values, our core self and our values. And I really value vulnerability in other people. And so I want to bring that myself this year as well, my work professionally and personally.
Wow, my heart is so full hearing all of these one-word explanations. Thank you, Natalie and Stephanie.
Oh my goodness. Again, I'm so excited that I got to go last on this one. It was just beautiful hearing everyone's. So mine for this year is create. And as I mentioned last year, my word became leap. I realized that that was it. And I believe that actually will be a word for life. I loved how it was said that we take our words with us and they continue. I really do feel like that will be a continuous word for me forever and ever. And so I wanted to think about the kinds of leaps that I wanted to be taking this year, and perhaps, not to steal thunder from another word, but being more intentional about the leaps that I am taking. So over the last year, I started finding myself saying that I moved in directions when I was shoulder tapped, or when someone would say, oh, I saw that you did this. I think you would be great at this. And that tended to be the way that my path formed. And I was fine with it, but it was as though I was always waiting for someone else to validate the next step in my journey. And what I wanted was to be more focused on the direction that I wanted to take myself. And so that is why I wanted to pick create, because I want to be the one to do the creation for myself. I want to be the one to figure out that next step and not wait for someone else to say, I think this would be good for you. And I would like to be doing that by writing and speaking and sharing, and continuing to value people around me who are creative and using their creativity and their creative voices to bring a lot to the table. And I look forward to connecting with people and learning more about what they would like to share. Should we tell him he's on mute? I'm sorry, Tim. I did it, everyone.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. It was about time I did that too. Thinking of creativity, Stephanie, I was trying to say that looking at that beautiful artwork behind you, I don't know if that is work that you've done, but that's
I wish I could take credit. I have three daughters. This is my now 8-year-old and my 9-year-old too. And 9, 10, forgot they grew up. And yeah, so they did those a year ago. And I have loved having them behind me. It's been the best backdrop for this year of 2020.
For sure. It makes for a great studio. Well, I love the word create as well. That was my word in 2018. Last year was write. And this year I'm going with stream. And my reasoning is this. I sort of think of this word in 3 different ways. Stream can be a verb and a noun. So thinking of streams as a noun for a moment, streams connect. You know, they bring people together. They connect A to B. And that's something that I'm realizing I have a real passion for doing. Streams also bring life. And I think in the emotionally parched conditions of the pandemic, I definitely want to be a source of life this year. And streams also have a natural flow. They don't rage with a powerful force, but they don't stop either. They keep going. They're consistent. They're quiet, and they bring that peace as well. So it's that consistent flow that I'm looking for. One of my goals for this year is to write a book. It still sounds scary for me to even say it, but I've got Tammy here in the group and others who I know will be cheering me on. Tammy, by the way, I meant to mention earlier, someone mentioned, I think Marissa talked about the fear of hitting publish. And Tammy, if you look at her work, really embraces the experience of getting that rejection as actually a really good thing, a sign that you're trying. So if I get rejected by publishers, that's okay. It shows that I'm trying and moving forward, right? So that all connects with my idea of stream as a noun. Stream is also a verb. And that's what we're doing right now. I'm live streaming with all of you. So to take it to a very literal sense, that is something that I have a passion for as well. It's something I've really gotten into the last few months. And I think in the unique circumstances of the pandemic that we find ourselves in, I think this kind of real-time connection is especially valuable to educators. I was just like I was with the one word at the beginning, I was kind of a live streaming skeptic when I started seeing more and more educators live streaming at the beginning. I thought, oh, this is kind of low quality stuff. I would rather stay tuned for the higher quality recorded content. But you know, there is something about coming together as a community and interacting with live audiences that I think really warms the heart, and it sort of livens our imagination and conversation as well. So that is what I am going for, and I'll be publishing that blog post later today. We are at the end of our conversation. I wish we could continue on, but I do want to give each of you a chance to talk about briefly your current work and where people can reach out and connect with you. And I know for a couple of our guests, I maybe forgot to put up your one-word card. So my apologies for that, but I'll try to do that here in this round. So Stephanie, I'll go back to you. How can people connect with your work? And what are you involved in 2021?
You can connect with me via Twitter is probably where I am most active, at Steph_EdTech. And from there, I also there's a website there. And I created another website called canwetalkedu.com. I'm pretty proud of that one. It's a free project that is there for teachers to help with connection, both with their students or their staff. It's meant for all educators. So happy to help and support anyone along their journeys. I love to, like, mentoring really is a passion. I learn more from it, I think, than maybe the mentees, but I hope that we all get a lot out of it. And so I am happy. Please contact me. I love having thought partners. So please connect with me and I would be happy to be a thought partner with you. But the main things that I'm working on this next year are continuing with Can We Talk? And I would love to get more involved in the Teach Better. So I'm inspired by all of you.
Thank you so much, Steph. And here is Steph's beautiful one-word plate or card, whatever we want to call this. Lovely. Love those colors and the light bulbs. That is very fun. Natalie, over to you. How can we connect with you?
Yeah, so the best place to connect with me is on Twitter at AOE Natalie. The biggest project I'm working on right now that I'm most excited about is my podcast. It is new this year, and so I would appreciate anyone listening to it and giving feedback. I am open to all. I'm vulnerable and open to all the feedback.
There we go.
So that's SYS Presents Adventures in Online Education. And so you can find that on my Twitter feed and then also at syseducation.org. And that's my biggest work and most exciting work this year is that podcast and doing that consulting for online schools.
Well, I was excited to see that you are a podcaster. The list just keeps on growing of great education podcasts out there. So I look forward to tuning in, Natalie. And now I feel like I know you a little bit. So that always makes the listening a little more special.
Right.
Livia, how can we connect with you and your work?
I am most active on Twitter. So my handle is Livia Chan L. You need to have the L at the end. I can also, if anybody interested in connecting about Teach Better, I can be found at livia@teachbetter.com. We're always looking for people who love to write, and I'm the digital content editor. So if you have a passion for writing, please contact me, and we'd love to have you as a guest blogger. But can I just say, I just am so appreciative for being a part of this.
Well, we are glad to have you here, Livia. And I see in the private comments, you are writing a book as well. So I'm glad to have another book partner that hopefully we can help motivate each other as we go through the year. Brian Carpenter, my friend here, who, as I said off the top, one of the biggest boosters of my work. So I am eternally grateful to this man. Brian, tell us more about what you are putting together this year.
All right. Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Brian Carr, BRYONCAR. And so that's where I spend most of my time. That's my Facebook. That's my scroll. I sit there and just watch Twitter, which is fantastic. My website, which I haven't published on since last year on the same day last year, is briancarpenter.com. And like I just announced here live this morning to the world, I've got a podcast coming. So I've got to start working on figuring out how to do that audio editing. Tim, I'm going to need your help and some help from Chris Nessie to get my first episode out. So stay tuned. It'll be called At Fresh Air at 5. And so, yeah, so I'm excited about that. So thanks, Tim, for having me. Appreciate so very much.
Well, yeah, I like what you did there. To anyone listening, to Brian, but also to any of our real-time or replay viewers or podcast listeners, now that this is going on the podcast as well, if you are thinking about starting a podcast in 2021, let me give you this suggestion. Download the Anchor app and go ahead and start recording right there in the Anchor app. You don't need any equipment at all. That's right. Absolutely nothing to start. It is possible to publish directly from your phone. So, Brian, that's an option for you as well. You could record your episodes while you walk, my friend. That is a possibility. And let me tell you, phone quality, audio quality only keeps getting better and better. Thank you, Brian. Really appreciate you being here this morning. Debbie, over to you.
So the best way to connect with me is on Twitter at Tannenbaum Tech. And I do have Instagram and LinkedIn and Voxer, but I do not use them as much. But that's the best way. And you can also link to my website, Techie Notes, from there as well. The big project I'm working on, as I've been talking about, is really getting my book to a new state. Last week energized me, and I almost doubled the amount that I had written at the very earlier parts of the year. I am really re-energized. I'm really excited. And it was something scary that I didn't think I can do. And now I'm like, I think it could happen. So I am really going to work to transform that. And as I started to talk to people after last week's session, and people were interested. It was like, wow. It's just like when I started blogging, I didn't think anybody would pay attention, and they did. And now I'm like taking the next step, and it's just really empowering. And I can't wait to see the transformation that happens in the coming year. And I want to thank you. You've been such a big part of this, Tim. I went from just blogging to sharing on your magazine to trying other things, and you just bring people together, and you really do connect streams. So thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you so much, Debbie. That warms my heart as well. And turning it over to, as I said earlier, a woman who, if you need inspiration for writing, she submitted how many pieces yesterday, Tammy?
10 yesterday. I already have 2 rejections, by the way, but yeah, 10.
Amazing. Tell us how we can connect with you and your work this year.
So the best way to connect with me is on Twitter, which I have at TLBREIT. And then Inspire Tammy B is where I am on Instagram. And if you go to my link tree, you can find my blog and my podcast and everything else that I'm doing there. So that's where all the things are, is at Instagram.
All the things. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. And Marissa.
You can find me on Twitter at Marissa E. Thompson. I also have a website, unlimitedteacher.com. What am I most excited about for this year? I'm coaching a group of educators in San Bernardino and having a blast doing that. So that's been really, really fun. And I always learn a lot as I do it, right? Like, I love that. That's such a great thing. The other thing I'm excited about, I was in a project last year that got shut down because of COVID. And so I'm really hoping as the vaccines come out and as things start to open up again, I'm working with University of San Diego, an Innovation in Education certificate. And the classes are, I don't have it's not professional. They're just badass experiences. So I would be teaching classes at Disneyland. And we go and we experience these different things, and then we'd spend a day there and all bring the educators together and go be in Disneyland with an educational lens, and then come back to a meeting room and just, clear all the tables and have butcher paper and work together. And the fact that I would get paid to do that is insane. But those kinds of things where you get to actually just experience the world and then take that lens back with you into education, I'm stoked about it. So I really hope that this will be the year where we get to make that happen. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Marissa. And yes, she sort of undersold it, but amazing blog at unlimitedteacher.com featuring the TQE method, which has revolutionized my English classroom. So thank you for that, Marissa. And Santiago, how can we connect with you? And let me just,
Unmute. So you guys can connect with me both on Twitter, Voxer, and Instagram at Santiago AM115. Still just continuing my Rooted in Strength CA. So in the mornings, it is usually just a picture, one word, and I just give you my thoughts on my morning read or what is on my heart and soul that morning. Continuing with our Education Never Dies crew, which occurs on Wednesday nights at 8:30 Eastern Time, and then also with our Fit Leaders group, Zero Energy Zone, continue that work, uplifting each other and supporting each other, and just going. But truly blessed and grateful to be in the presence of all you amazing people out here. So.
Thank you so much, Santiago and Natalie. Good to have you back here at the end as we start to wrap up. But I want to say a big thank you again for taking part in this conversation. Best of luck to you as you pursue your One Word 2021. I hope all of your goals will come to fruition, and this word will really focus and energize your energies. As Eric Geis said in the comments earlier, we all want to. We've all got this limited, finite amount of energy. We want to focus them really in a way that, as Livia said, aligns with our why. So, best of luck to you. I'm so honored to be able to partner with you this morning, and I can't wait to connect again soon. For our viewers and for listeners, make sure you tune in to next week's roundtable happening here, streaming here every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, where we connect with other teachers on fire, agents of growth and transformation in K-12 education today. That is it from me. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Take care and best of luck. Bye-bye.